to the September meeting of the Finance and Compliance meeting. It's Monday, the 15th of September. So first of all, Ian, any apologies for absence?
Yes, we've got apologies from Councillor Zhu and a partial apology from Councillor Phil Keaton. He's hoping to join us later.
I had a message off him, yeah. Okay, thank you. Any declarations of interest, anybody? No. Sarah, do you want to start?
Actually, no, not sure. Because, I can't. Can you do something with the sound? Can you do something with the sound?
There we are.
Can you do something with the sound? Has that been done? Okay. Yes, the one about the the horse's head thing, the
Story of Mumbles.
yeah, the Story of Mumbles one, because I think they are coming to the Christmas quiz at West Cross as well. But I don't know. There we are. Thought I'd mention it.
Okay, that's good. Any declarations? No, I'm going to declare personal interest in the Mary Lloyd and Traders Grant and Gwalia Singers Grant because I know people associated with all of them.
Personal interest, Chair.
Personal interest, yes. Okay, so the next thing is to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was in July. Has everybody had a chance to look through them? Can I have a Carrie?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, it says about the internal auditor, it says clerk to confirm the cost of the auditor recently used. This was approved. Sorry, can you turn the echo off? And as far as I remember, and I did check this with Kerry, and she says as far as that she knows, it was to agree the cost and appointment of the internal auditor, not just to confirm the cost. So we actually agreed to appoint or reappoint the internal auditor. That's quite a sort of significant difference in what actually is said there.
Yeah, that's correct. And we'll get that changed.
Okay, and the other thing is, of course, the last item was the internal audit recommendations, which we deferred to this month, but so Paul could be present, but they've not been put on the agenda.
I did put them on, but it was only about an hour or so ago when I looked at the agenda. I looked at the folder and realised it wasn't there.
Right, so it's probably too late for us to be able to discuss now. So that means Paul would have to come back again.
That's okay, that's not a problem.
Oh no, hang on. Yes, I see you've added it there. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Paul,
did it go out on the one to the public? Does that matter?
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
But the documents don't go out to the public, just the actual agenda.
Okay. Does that matter, Ian?
I don't, to be honest with you, Karen.
Paul, I'll take your advice on this.
No, I think it's fine as long as you're happy that you can go through it. I don't see a problem in going through it. Obviously, you may feel it's a problem if you haven't had time.
There we are.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Paul.
Lovely,
Okay.
thanks.
Ian, any outstanding action points?
Just the two, Chair, which are they're both for Paul actually. They're old ones. Well, one's old. It's obtaining quotes for the Gower Electric Company. Is there any update on that one, Paul?
Yeah, it's something I need to chase up. I did contact them earlier in the year, and they were quite keen to come on board, but they also they were quite keen on taking over the whole of the Swansea Council contract for all their community buildings. So I don't know what's happened with that, but what I need to do is chase that and get something back to you for the next meeting.
Okay, that's lovely. And the only other one we have is the consider suitable areas to buy money to areas highlighted in your report, Paul, namely water, broadband and telephone, janitorial supplies, and relief cleaner.
Yeah, I think that was discussed at council in May, so I'd say that action is completed.
Lovely.
Brilliant.
That's it, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So over to Paul now, budgeting monitoring reports. Paul, did you have anybody reply to your email with any questions?
I did have some questions on the Austrian from Carrie, which I replied to earlier. It's about some income which had come in, and I can't remember what the other one was. Oh,
It
about
was
the
just
West
about the
Coast grant,
grant.
which I think,
Yeah.
which I think Carrie was going to raise with the committee.
Yes.
Okay.
I was. Yes, but I just wanted to check. On the monitoring report, obviously we've got the payment for the West Cross Youth Club, which was a 3-year grant, so they didn't have to keep reapplying. And check with Paul, this is actually the last year of that 3-year cycle. So I was going to suggest that perhaps Ian could contact them and tell them and say, you know, if they want to reapply for another 3-year grant, then they would need to get that done quite soon to enable us to discuss it and agree it before next April.
Yeah, we really need to agree really before January, so it can be included in the budget for next year.
Yeah. Happy for them to be contacted via Paul or Kerry. There we are, brilliant. Okay. Budget 26-27. Has anybody got anything they want to raise, or any new proposals, or has anybody put in any proposals?
The only thing I would query, I would suggest it basically the same as last year, apart from we have a budget for hybrid meeting equipment, but we've never actually got any. And, you know, as we are aware, our current system is not the greatest. I just wondered what is happening about it. With now we have our new IT support people. Are they going to be looking at upgrading our current system? Because, you know, this ridiculous situation where every time someone speaks, you have to turn, you know, mute the room is crazy. And also we need proper quality speakers. So whoever's speaking in the room, it picks them up rather than just the general noise that's going on. So that's the question I've got. And one assumes that it will be spent this year and maybe we don't need to put it back in again next year.
Okay, I'll just answer. I mean, yes, I totally agree with you. We need to do something about our equipment. I believe it's something the clerk is on to and investigating. Pam?
I was about to say I raised it with the clerk last month or the last time we met, and she said it was on her to-do list. So she might have some information on that.
Thanks.
Okay. We can just approve, I think, the budget miniature reports because.
Oh, yes, we actually approved the minutes. So with that alteration that Carrie pointed out, are we happy to approve those minutes? All in favour?
Yeah. And the reports, Paul's reports.
And Paul's report as well. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so back to the budget, 26-27. Anybody got any things they want to throw into the ring?
Yes.
Pam?
I've been asking for 6 months, 9 months to have more benches put along the prom, along the side of the car park, because there's not enough seating there for people in the summer. And also asked if I could have a bench put out the ferry shop so that people on the bus stop would have somewhere to sit. And we've been told, oh no, we're gonna do this and we're going to do that. Well, nothing's been done again, and it's another summer gone. So can I put money in for benches, or is that possible?
Wrong committee, I think.
It's the wrong committee, that's community, but I mean.
Yeah, that comes in the environmental committee.
Yeah.
But they are not doing anything about it.
Excuse me, we haven't been asked.
Put the proposal in.
No, as I said to the chair, in,
Okay, rather than both speak at once, I suggest you put in a proposal to the environmental committee
Yep.
for that. That would be the best thing to do. Can I just ask you, when you say the car park, which car park do you mean, Pam?
no, the dairy car, no, the car park that goes all the way along, not the dairy one, the one down below it, the one that's from the centre of
Oh,
Mumbles.
the square.
The square car park, yes. There are only 4 benches. Things we need twice as many benches there because people are just looking for somewhere to sit in the summer.
Okay, Paul, can I ask you, what happened to all the benches that were taken off the prom and we were going to redistribute them?
I think
You want me to
they.
answer that?
Yep, go on now.
Because I do know the most recent. Yeah, it's taken a long time to track them down, with everybody swearing that they had nothing to do with them. They are, in fact, still on the prom. They have just moved from one part of Southend Gardens to the section where the children's playground and the seafood hut used to be. So that I think Kerry is trying to get Swansea Council to agree to collect them and redistribute them to the allocated places across the 4 wards where they should be.
I think Will said at one point that those benches had to come from Swansea Council because they were a particular type and they'd want them all to match.
Oh, you
Okay.
mean for new benches? Yeah, but we're
Yeah.
talking about the old benches.
I know, I'm talking about both.
You
Okay,
check,
I'll apply to environment and see what they
Yeah.
say. Thanks very much. Thanks for the advice.
No problem.
Carrie, as you know about this, can I ask you how many benches we're looking at and are they all allocated?
Yes, they are all allocated. There were 20, 3 of all, or 4, maybe 3, I think, have already been allocated, and all the rest are allocated. A year or more ago, everyone from the different wards sent in their request for where they should go, and that list has already been agreed.
Harry, isn't this picnic benches, not benches?
Picnic benches,
Yes,
picnic
yes, that's right.
tables.
Hmm.
Yeah. What about actual benches like Pam's on about?
We don't have any.
I thought some of those were going from the prom. And
I think Francesca was dealing with something to do with them, but I think it was the final decision was they weren't worth keeping because the cost of getting them reinstalled was higher than the value of the benches, and it was cheaper to get new.
Okay.
In
Okay,
that case, it's definitely got to go via the budget then. They'll start getting.
You put a proposal, Pam, to Carrie's committee, to environmental, okay? And I'll note that down that you're going to put a proposal through that committee.
So will they have to get costs for, say, putting a plinth or a base in for these benches as well? I just asked them what it was they sorted out.
You would need to send in all the costs that you want to include. So you'd need to speak to Swansea Council about the cost of installing them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let me just note this. Okay, anybody else got anything they would like to see on the budget or anything they would like to discuss? Okay, so the next thing is the grant applications. Mumbles Traders have put in a grant application for 1,595 for the annual Classic Car Show. I did question this and they said that their grant went in before the actual car show, but after we'd discussed at the last meeting when we were talking about grants. But it was in before the actual show. So Carrie, I'll bring you in first.
Yeah, they're perfectly well aware of the new rules that think that grant applications are only looked at quarterly, and I believe that they were perfectly well aware that the date in order to be able to discuss them prior to whenever the car show was they were perfectly well aware. They also know that there are no meetings in August, so I suggest that on that basis we say I'm sorry, but you're too late. Also, the events happened, they clearly paid for it, so I don't see why they need any money.
Okay, anybody else want to say anything on this? Martin?
Can I go? Yeah, well, have we got any idea why that they've come in late with this? Because this is something that they do every year. You know, can we get some sort of dialogue going with them as to why this has happened? Because to be honest, personally, I think it's a very good event. It seems to bring a lot of people into Mumbles. You know, I came down when the event was on. Shops were all busy, which is fantastic to see. So personally, I think it's the sort of thing we should be funding.
Yeah.
I'm just dismayed, really, that because of procedure, that for some reason this hasn't happened. I know that sometimes, how can I say, they're not the best at following procedure, and they should follow procedure. But you know, have we got any reason as to why this has happened as it has? Because I'd be interested in that. Because going forward, as I said, this happens every year. We have this, we have the Christmas show, all of which are great for the community. So, you know, I think that we should be looking at supporting it. And if there's some reason that there's a breakdown in communication, I think we need to sort it out.
Well, yeah.
I think what Carrie's proposing is somewhat hard. Okay, it may not meet all the necessary requirements that council have adopted, but there could be extenuating circumstances which may have caused this issue. And in light of that, I'd also like to say it is something that's well supported. And, you know, in the absence of Mr. Whitaker putting on these events, one has to ask the question, well, who else is going to do it? Some may think it's not an ideal situation, the manner to which he works, but I think it needs to be spelt out to him that he should meet our requirements. But in this case, I think it would be rather hard to pull the carpet away once the event has taken place. That's my view.
Okay, thanks. Sarah?
Yeah, well, we have rules. If they're worth anything, we follow them. And this isn't something that they've not done in the past. And I think we do need to say, you know, you put it in plenty of time. Otherwise, we might as well do that with everyone and not have rules. And if they've paid for it now, they've paid for it. You know, usually people come cap in hand to us and say, we cannot afford to do this unless you help us. Well, obviously they could, and they've done it. So we've had it. So I just think we should say, please get this stuff in long before you need to. You know it happens, like you said, you know it happens every year. So you should have it set up and into us a number of months beforehand. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. I'll put it back. Pam?
If they've already had the event, then they've got all of the invoices for all of the money that they spent on it. So can we please ask them to see all of the invoices to see how much they spent on it and how much that compares with how much they're actually asking for?
That's a possibility. Okay, I'll bring in Carrie and Ian, and then we'll go to a vote.
Yeah, just to also point out that these are pre-scored, and it only scores 8, which is barely over half. So it's not considered to be of great value as an application. Secondly, I will remind this committee that there used to be a grant agreement with Mumbles Traders, but they completely failed to actually comply with any of the requirements. They still haven't produced any of the invoices or the receipts from the previous events that they've run, and this has been the case for every single event that we have funded. We have never been able to get any evidence of what they've actually spent the money on. And I think unless we actually say, sorry, do this properly, send this in advance, give us a breakdown of what the costs are. They're just going to carry on doing it. And it, as you say, it makes a complete nonsense of all the other people who are working really hard to put applications in because they actually need the money.
Where does that
Yeah,
leave us with
I'd
the
forgotten
auditors?
that.
If we, sorry, if
I'm-
we're audited on this, will it put us in a bad light with the auditors? Will we come a cropper through not having receipts and things like that?
Potentially, yes. If they decide to look at
Mm.
that particular area, then yeah, certainly something that an auditor would want to see is invoices to support the payments we've made.
We've got to
Yeah.
cover ourselves here.
Okay, I'll bring in Ian and then we'll go to a vote.
It's just one final thing. It has been said that these costs have been met. Well, we don't know that. We don't know if they've been settled. So he may be or may not be in a position to make that settlement. And I would suggest that he could very well be relying on the payment that was to be forthcoming. So I still think it's rather harsh.
Yeah, Martin and then Sarah.
Is that I do think it is vitally important, and it's got to be said, we have said this over in the past with most traders, that they have got to be made aware that this is public money that we're dealing with, and that we need the relevant invoices, exactly the point the Paul's making. We cannot be leaving ourselves open. But the point I'm trying to make is that going forward, this isn't just a one-off sort of thing. This is something that happens every year. The Christmas event happens every year. The food one, which we're going to be discussing in a bit, which I personally feel are all great events in the community.
Yes.
Do a lot to raise the profile in the community, do a lot for local businesses, all things that we should be doing as a community council. So I'm not really happy just sort of saying, oh, well, they haven't done it this year, and yes, okay, they haven't done it in the past. But what I'm advocating is dialogue and some robust dialogue with Paul, saying, look, we cannot just hand the money over like this because we've got audit whales breathing down our neck and we can't open ourselves to this. But, with the view of making sure that these events happen in the future. Because I just sort of think if we just pull the funding, well, Paul or whatever, you can just turn around and say, well, I'm just not going to do that.
Okay, Sarah, and then we'll
Just
get
be
to
constructive.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
no,
do
I
need
do-
to bring something up that I've just been reminded of relevant to this, which I will.
Sarah's first. Sarah's
Yeah,
first.
after
Can I just-
Sarah.
Yeah, sorry to have to speak again, but yes, Carrie reminded me then. I'd forgotten about the kerfuffle over Christmas and the bad behaviour then. Look, we're just making Paul's life impossible if we keep saying, yeah, we'll give you the money. It's taxpayers' money. We can't go around just throwing it out. There are rules for a reason. And I don't know how the robust conversation over the Christmas money and receipts went, because
Nothing.
I don't know. Right, okay, but words were said, weren't they? We did ask for receipts. It's not like we asked and they didn't give them. So it's just bad practice, and we can't afford to have bad practice.
Okay.
Sorry, right, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, if I could just draw your attention to the bank statements. The bank statements, particularly if you see the originals, which I have seen, they're clearly not actually printed bank statements that come from a bank. They have been cut and pasted from various other documents. And to be honest, I really don't think we should be in a position to have to accept doctored bank statements.
Oh my God.
Okay. I'm going to put it to the vote then. So anybody in favour of this grant, awarding this grant? And those against? Okay. I'm going to abstain, not as a cop-out, because I'm torn. I understand both sides. I understand the value of this, and a word needs to be had. But the three on screen and Paul are right. We have rules we've got to follow. It's not the first time it's happened, and we can't leave ourselves open to Audit Wales on something like this. Okay, thank you all. Next one is the Traders Grant for 3,200 to contribute towards the annual food and drink festival. But since that has come in, I've had an email from Paul. Is that what you're going to say, Paul?
Yeah, well, I've got an update which I got from Kerry about what's been requested by Paul Whitaker.
Yeah, I've got the same one, but let you go for it.
Okay, what Kerry's told me is the event was cancelled because of the weather, but Paul has emailed in and asked if the grant application could be amended to a grant to pay for a replacement marquee.
Okay.
Have we got any information on how much that would cost?
Yes.
I haven't got anything. Sorry, Rob. Sorry, chap.
He sent me an email, which I shall find now, with a link to where he purchased it from. Let's have a look. Where is it? Oh, he sent it to that one, is he?
Is it all this?
Yeah, I mean, Ian's got pictures of the damage here. I'll try and find this. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong inbox. That's why. MCC inbox. Grant applications. Right. The marquee is £1,019.
And who owns it?
Mumbles Traders. We've used it in Mumfest before.
So they want us to pay for a new marquee for them. What about the money? They were going to invest £2,500 in this event, which sounds more than sufficient to me to cover the cost of a replacement marquee. Because the event didn't go ahead, so they haven't got any costs associated with it.
Right, I shall read out the email that Paul sent to Kerry. Following on from a brief conversation today, as you know, we had to cancel the food festival weekend due to the weather. The marquee was ruined. This outlines anything why funding from our community events from MCC is paramount to their continuation. We have probably, as an organisation, lost 1,200, but are trying to work out some reductions in cost this week. Aside from EPM, my business, loss, which is approximately 1,300, but we take the rough with the smooth supporting these events. Going forward, would it be possible to amend the MTA grant application for Food Festival to a cost of £1,019 to replace the destroyed marquee, which we use for events, and offer free of charge to businesses that need it? In some of the road closures, it also used as our children's area in Castle events, and this is the one with the link. Any support of these events is well received, and of these really, at these times, really helpful. The ever-increasing costs to do any of these events and close the roads for events has gone up by 10%, just for Road Closure Company, core and bit by bit with other bodies. As you know from Mumblesfest, these events are costly and in some instances becoming out of the reach of voluntary groups, with no initial funding, even with support from other event organisations. We can only sustain the support once or twice with these cancellations. Thank you as always for the support you've given, and hopefully we group things, well, that doesn't make sense, may look a bit better for Christmas. And he sent the pictures of bent framework, a destroyed marquee, totally collapsed. Now, there is another thing with the cancellation of the food festival. I know two people who are actually taking part in it as demonstrators and had bought all the ingredients they needed for their demonstrations. Of course, they are out of pocket now because they've bought a load of food that they're not going to be using. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can do some sort of grant to help those people who've lost I mean, Paul will be on this, but I'll bring Terry in first before I go down that road.
Okay, well, just to answer your question, if you know these people and you're now asking us to give them money, then I would suggest you would have to declare a personal interest, possibly a prejudicial interest in requesting money for people you know. Anyway, that's irrelevant. That's just an aside, which is not directly to do with this. My suggestion is that we as MCC purchase the marquee. That way, then, we can make sure that we have got the best cost, and we can make sure that the money we're giving is actually being spent on the marquee, and we don't have to go around chasing him for invoices and goodness knows what else. That way, then, he has the marquee, but we have the paperwork to support it. And it means that if we want to use it, then we can have free use of it whenever we want.
I just want to know where we keep the marquee if we have it.
Well, he would store it. We would buy it on his behalf, but on the understanding that whenever we needed to use it for events, that we would be able to use it for free. So we would purchase it for him, but he would be
and he would store it, okay?
And he would be responsible for keeping it.
Okay, Sarah?
Sorry, I thought we had a storage facility. Have we not got a storage facility anymore? That we could keep the marquee ourselves?
No.
Okay, okay. I think that's open to abuse, but right.
Okay, I'll do Pam. Pam?
He has said that the people, when they have events, borrow the marquee from him. So if we bought it, then we would know that those people would still have that facility and we would be helping them as well. But I agree, it should be our marquee. We pay for it. I suppose we insure it, and I'm sorry that we don't have anywhere to keep it. But then it ensures that other people who need it for the minor events, they have access to it as well.
Yeah.
And if he's renting it to them, we're the ones that should be paid.
One at a time. Ian?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've got a slight advantage because I have some pictorials here of the poor marquee that had been blown down and the tubular construction. Now, it's hard to define the scale of it. But what I would say is it's possible that it's aluminium because it's well torn, some of the metal work. I shouldn't think it's steel. But anyway, the point I'm coming to is this could be something that's rather heavy. And, you know, who's going to be doing the humping around of that? I remember when we had the collapsible gazebo when we were in Walters Crescent, and when we used to put events on at Southend, etc., a number of councillors had the duty of having to erect it and transfer it there, then take it back to the office. So, you know, if there are two things, if we're going to pay for it, well, he would have the responsibility of looking after it, and as and where necessary, if he's involved in the project, he can then put it up. But if you're wanting to use it at another project which didn't involve him, you know, who's going to do the fetching and carrying for what could be a rather heavy item?
Good point.
I think it's quite straightforward that, you know, we say we are going to pay for it. You will look after it. That's absolutely fine. You use it for whatever events you need to. All we ask in exchange is when we want to use it, that we can have it.
Okay, Paul, I'm in favour of Carrie's suggestion that we buy it and it becomes our property, but Paul and other community groups are able to use it. Is that doable? Are we allowed to do that as to what's on the actual agenda?
On the agenda is the grant application. I think I don't see a problem in the committee making a recommendation to council along the lines of what Carrie suggested. And then if council agrees it, then yes, I think that would be possible.
Okay, so in that, the first thing we'd have to do is take a vote on the actual grant application, and then we can put a proposal forward from this committee to full council.
Could we actually ask as well if they do damage, if he does damage this marquee, that the next time he buys it the next time?
Presumably we would insure it through MCC.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
And
hope.
look at the weather report before you put it up.
Yeah.
You know, okay then, so first of all, to deal with is the application as it stands that they've actually put into the council for 3,200. All those in favour of awarding that grant? All those not in favour of awarding it? Okay, so then,
Can I just say,
yes, please.
my vote is against it because there was only the one day. So I don't know, should we be agreeing to the first day and not the second day?
Don't know.
Anyway, the
mean-
vote's been taken, so we can
It's
move
been
on.
taken, but that's what they've actually put on for that grant. Okay, so
Okay,
I'd like to propose,
A recommendation.
on behalf of Carrie, a recommendation that MCC pay £1,019 for a new park.
Sorry, can we say that we will purchase the grant at the best price, based on quotes
Yeah.
that our RFO will get?
Yeah, that's fair. The best suitable replacement marquee based on the RFO's research that will belong to the council and can also be used free of charge by other community groups needing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favour? Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, the next one is the Story of Mumbles grant application for £1,102 to contribute towards resurrecting the winter folklore tradition of the Mary Lloyd in Mumbles. This hasn't been done for a couple of years. I remember one in the park, and I remember one in the Newton Inn as well, which was done by Brian Davis from the Historical Association. Anybody want to say anything on this grant before I have my tuppence worth?
How much do
I
horses'
think it's
skulls?
great.
nay.
Okay, Carrie thinks it's great. Martin wants to know
How much?
how much the horses' skulls cost. Well, they've actually got one, which is kept in
Yes.
the order.
I was going to say, I was wondering if they had one already. Yeah.
Yeah, sharper.
Okay, anybody else want to say anything?
No, it's just a great historical old Welsh tradition that died out due to the churches not liking it, and I think it's tremendous fun, and it just adds to the culture of Mumbles, bringing it back.
Okay, I agree on everything you've said. One thing I'm going to just question though is, I mean, the whole project is quite an expensive thing for what it is, because this is only what they're asking for, not what it costs to put on. I would suggest personally that they don't need to do 500 8-page leaflets, and the cost that's going to incur on time and resources and stuff like that. I think it'd be much better because I doubt 500 people will turn up, but I think maybe having an online version of this that could be put on with the Story of Mumbles rather than the digital printing, because I think, the printing of the leaflets, which is quite expensive for the printing and for the time involved for doing it. That's what I think. Does anybody have any views on that? Carrie?
Yeah, I think it's something that you know, perhaps older people know all about, younger people may be less knowledgeable about the history. And I think having a little leaflet that tells people all about it is actually, you know, it's the history of Mumbles. It's another record that people will have that tell them about, you know, why they're doing it. And I think that's really good. It's only 500. It's not like they're going to be delivering them to every household in Mumbles, but they'll be available in libraries, in community centres, you know, locally, as well as obviously being given out at the event and handed out to anyone who wants them. So I don't have a problem with them producing the leaflet. My only caveat would be that it's produced bilingually. And I'm guessing that that's the reason why it's 8 pages, is because it will be, you know, one in Welsh and one in English. But that's my only caveat, that it's bilingual.
Sarah?
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with Carrie. I think for once it's actually a good thing. I think that Llandow School would love to have a few of the leaflets, and the children would enjoy coming along to the quiz to see, you know, it's an experience, and it's followed up, and they are a history society. They're bound to want to put something out to explain what they're doing. Otherwise, a lot of people would see it and go, what's that all about? Well, they'll know if they've read the leaflets. But yeah, it should go online as well.
My point was, if you want to attract and inform young people, then it's got to be online or using a system that they would access. They wouldn't necessarily be anywhere where they could pick up a leaflet. So how do we target and reach those people? I don't know, but other people might know.
Schools.
I think, you know, if we're going to do a caveat about it being bilingual, we also do another one saying that it's going to be available online as well.
Yep. Agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we add those 2 caveats into it, we'll go to a vote. So all those in favour? There we are. Thank you very much.
Rob, sorry, Chair. There was one other thing. They raise money for charity, don't they?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
just wondering if there was a local charity they could raise it for. Something like Oystermouth Castle would make sense, because they're the historical
I think the Friends
society.
of Oystermouth Castle would be really good, because it's going to be done up at the castle anyway.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I can have a word with Bev and suggest that, and that'd be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
The last one, I thought there were 2. There wasn't there a Gwalia Singers one as well? Was that
No.
rejected?
No, it wasn't in time, I don't think.
It wasn't in time, right? Okay. So the last one is the Swansea Sea Cadets. £3,000 contribute towards classroom modernisation. The floor is open.
Is that it? Is that all we've got? Is classroom modernisation?
Well,
There is an application.
there is
a
an
bit more.
application.
There's a
I'm
comprehensive.
just mindful that when the people wanted a new doll, for want of a better word, when they had all the life-saving equipment, and somebody came in and explained it all to us, and we had a really good picture about what exactly they needed. Could we possibly ask them to come in and explain it to us? Unless you think you've got enough information there, but I don't think so.
Well, unfortunately, my phone has just decided to delete all my emails, but luckily they're on the iPad. Oh, we've got it here. Thank you. So, I mean, it's been scored 3 for outcomes, 2 for value for money, 3 for good governance, and 2 for well with the community strategic aims. I was going to read out an email I had from Phil, because he said he might be late, and in fact it will be on my iPad. So he said, regarding the Sea Cadets, great CA application, fantastic thing to support, but how many active members do they have from our area? They appear to be asking us for 1/3 of the amount for a facility which is actually in the marina. So if it's in the marina, I personally don't see how we can support this.
What age group are we talking about?
The
How
Sea
old are
Cadets.
Sea Cadets? Yeah, well, how old are Sea Cadets?
No. The fact that the actual classroom they want to build or the money for is based in the marina.
But they do say in the application that, you know, and don't get me wrong, I've got misgivings about this application as well. But they do say in the application that they've got, I think it's 8 people who live within the Mumbles area. You know, and as I sort of said, I would echo what Phil says, is that the thing is, it's not, the Sea Cadets is in the marina, it's not in St. Thomas, it's not in Mumbles, I mean. And although, you know, we have got, historically, we are a fishing village. It's not directly related to us, but, you know, as I sort of said, who else are they asking? Are they asking other community councils in Swansea for support?
I think they have gone out for other
Yeah, they have gone out for other
additional funding, but they don't
application.
quantify where that funding's actually coming from. But just to be of some assistance, clarification, particularly for Palm, they meet in the Maritime Quarter. It's called Ajax, and it's Pilot House Wharf. That's where they actually are. So there's a building there, a room, and they want to refurbish the room. They want to refurbish the desks, etc. They want to have a number of different televisions in there for making presentations and so on. So it seems all pretty valid in that context. It's just that it's not within Mumbles Community Council area. But there's nothing stopping people from going there because that's where they have their meetings.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, but as it says in the application, they do have some active members from the Mumbles area. I'm just wondering, you know, because maybe I missed it, but are they getting any money from the city and county?
I got it
You
here.
know, as I said, I think it's got merit. It's just also the thing that it's not in the Mumbles area. But, you know, it's the people from Mumbles to go with it, and there's nothing to stop people from Mumbles going there.
No, and maybe this will be the push to encourage people to go there. But the fact is, it's not Mumbles. Let's bring in people on screen. Sarah, you're first.
Yeah, I mean, we did pay to do the scout hut up the top of Newton Road, but then that was in Newton, that was in Mumbles, and so it seems tenuous to me. I mean, where do you draw the line?
But also with that scout hut, Sarah, it's used by people who don't live in Mumbles as well. So there's conflict.
I know, but we've actually added to how the Mumbles, haven't we? We've paid for, you know, we've paid for something that's in Mumbles. Yeah. It might be used by other people, but it's still a Mumbles property, a building that we helped develop, and our scouts use it. The problem is that you could say about anything, or someone's doing ballet in Llansamlet and they go there, so can you give them a 1,000 to do, you know, to do their building up? It can be a bit all these 8 kids could suddenly leave and lose interest, and we'd be there, we'd paid the money towards something, you know, that's not being used by, it's nothing to do with Mumbles.
Yeah, give me 10 minutes.
I understand.
Sorry.
I'll bring
yeah, I mean, I can see there is some merit if it is supporting young people from Mumbles. I do have some concerns in that it's up in the marina, which must severely limit which children are actually able, or young people are able to access it, because it's not somewhere they're going to be able to get to very easily by public transport. So you're talking about only being open to people whose parents have cars and can drive them there and back. So, you know, it's only going to be open to a relatively limited number of young people from Mumbles. But, you know, as there are some, and that's fair enough. I just feel that £3,000 is excessive, considering the fact that it is in the marina and only a very small number of young people, even at the moment, attend. And as you say, this time next year, it could be down to 3. So I would be prepared to give them up to £1,000, which I think is a fairer contribution towards it, and is roughly in line with, you know, what the percentage of young people who go to you know, who are likely to attend. So yes, I would be prepared to agree to 1,000, but I do agree that I think we should question where they have applied to for the other amounts of money. They say they've requested a further £6,000, but they haven't actually said where that £6,000 has
Okay.
been requested from.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Pam?
If it's benefiting young people, and you know what I'm like, we help them in any way we can. And we are a seafaring village, and we should be helping. If they're going into Sea Cadets, maybe they can't afford to do something else. I don't know. I was going to say offer £500, not as much as 1,000. But if it's
Fair
for
enough.
young people, I think we really should be trying to sort out how we can help them. And if they're out there and they're not at home on a computer, then I think we should be encouraging that in any way that we can.
Okay, Sarah, quickly, and then we're going to vote.
Right, last minute. Just to say, I think if you have to be careful, because if we start a precedent here where anyone can apply and say that child is going to somewhere and you should pay that, and look, you paid for this. So I think we have to be careful. It's not actually in our ward, in our area. Okay.
And understand that. I think, you know, it's a little bit different from, say, dance classes or ballet classes or performing arts school or something like that, because this is quite specialist, or it's totally specialist. So, and with the nature of the docks, I see why it is based there as well, over an SA1. I quite like Harry's suggestion of offering up to £1,000 towards it, because I think it's a really worthwhile cause, and hopefully we can get more local people to become interested in something like that. So that's what I'm going to suggest, is that we award the £1,000 rather than the £3,000. Phil, just before I go to a vote, anything you want to say on the Sea Cadets, because you haven't had a chance to speak? I've read out what you sent me in the email.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I think it's already been all said. I like Sea Cadets. I like the idea of being able to put into this. I did think that sort of the representation of Mumbles youngsters in there was a bit low, but there's not a huge amount of numbers in there anyway. And I defer to what everybody else has suggested previously.
Sorry, the last one, because I did promise Martin, and I forgot.
Just echoing, I suppose, what Phil, I was just looking at the numbers. They've got 8 from Mumbles of a total of 56 cadets. And they're asking us to fund, if it's the £3,000, that is nearly a quarter of the thing. So it does seem a lot that they're asking for. So,
but if £1,000 doesn't sound so bad.
No, that's what I mean. You know, if we're talking about £1,000, I would go along with that. Like, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put that to the vote now. So, sorry, Sarah, I'm going to the vote now because
I'm just going to say I'd have been happy for 500, but not 1,000.
Right. I'm going to put it to 1,000 because I think that's fair for what the whole project is costing, with a percentage of children out of the 50 odd who come from this area. I think that's a good representation. So all those in favour of awarding them £1,000 towards their application rather than the 3,000, please put your hands up. Okay, all those against it? And Sarah, you abstaining? Yeah, okay, one abstention. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, and the last thing, I believe, yes, it is the internal audit recommendations. Over to you, Pablo.
Thanks, Chair. I don't know how you want to play it because there are quite a lot of recommendations that have been made this time. And I'm happy, and I'm sure Kerry will be happy as well, to accept the vast majority of them. There's only maybe one or two which I have issues with, and mostly it's because I don't think the auditor didn't ask me the question, so they possibly didn't understand what was really happening. So it's up to you really. There's a lot of recommendations. If you want to go through them one by one, I'm happy for that. Or do you want to accept recommendations that myself and Kerry are happy with, and then just discuss the others?
I'm happy to
Accept.
to do as you suggest, to recommend them
Yeah.
Collectively, the ones you've recommended.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm then happy with everything, and up until
Do we have to vote on that?
We will have to in a minute.
yeah, at the end, I think, Pam.
Okay, thank you.
The first one is recommendation 6A, which is about the VAT reclaims, and obviously we know what happened what's happened over the years. What the auditor suggested was that what I'm doing with the VAT returns has implications for previous year's accounts by changing the figures which have already gone into Audit Wales, but they don't, because I don't change any of the figures which have gone into Audit Wales, because I know that's not something that can happen. We do need to make changes, because sometimes when I go through a VAT return, I see things which have been claimed back, which shouldn't be. For example, if staff purchase something, say from Amazon, and then we pay the member of staff for what they've purchased, then I know we can't claim the VAT back on that, because the invoice isn't in the name of Mumbles Community Council, it's in the name of whoever's purchased it. But things do slip through when you punch in invoices, and I do find a small number of errors where I've reclaimed the VAT when it shouldn't have. So what I do with those is I amend the VAT figure in the current year, so it doesn't have any implications on the previous years which have gone for audit. They all stay the same, but the VAT account then is corrected in the current year, which is a year that's open and hasn't gone to audit yet. So all those transactions are correctly recorded, and the VAT amount that we claim is correctly recorded. So what the auditor suggested was that we don't claim back the previous years year by year, but we get Scribe to do it for us at a cost, and it's all done in 1 year. But that, in effect, is doing exactly the same thing as I would. So I agreed with Kerry that we would submit the claims on the basis that I've been doing in previous years. I've already submitted 2 which have been paid, and the next one is outstanding, is almost ready to go, but unfortunately just haven't, with other things coming up, it just hasn't been finalized. So that's what I would say is that I would disagree with, because what we're doing is as I say, it is correct accounting wise. And if I'd been asked that, then I would have made that explanation to the auditor. So what I would recommend on that, I would suggest on that, is that we say we disagree with that, because the way it works doesn't cause the impact that the internal auditor has suggested.
Question, Paul.
Sorry, Chair.
Paul. Can you hear me?
We can
Yeah,
now.
now.
You were on mute.
Sorry, Carrie, you've got a question for Paul?
Yeah, just couple of sort of, not questions, but clarifications. One, that the way you do it, where you make the adjustments in this year, seems to me eminently sensible. But I just want to be sure that the auditors would not have any issues with, when they came to check this year's, that there are adjustments made which actually relate back to previous years, would they be quite happy as long as they've been done to see them happening in this year?
Yeah, I personally, I think they would, because obviously you've got to correct the VAT account to show the amount that you've claimed. And I haven't asked them the question, but I would say that with the explanation that I provided, that they would be happy.
Okay, and the second bit is, going forward, do we have a kind of plan to ensure that in future years that the VAT reclaim is made within the financial year?
Yeah, one of the the other recommendation is that that the VAT claim for the year is either done quarterly, which I think is a bit excessive because it isn't a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
It was in the early years, a few years ago, because of the skate park. That was a significant amount that should have been reclaimed quicker. But on a normal year, it's not a huge amount. What I intend doing as part of the end of year, when I close the accounts, is to submit that VAT claim before it goes to internal audit.
Okay.
So we've got one I need to do within the next few weeks when I'm back from leave, and then we'll be up to date then to 31st of March 25, and for 31st of March 26, I'll do that in April, so it's done as part of the end of the year.
Okay.
Sounds fine to me, thanks.
Any other questions for Paul, or should we go straight to the vote?
Vote.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll go to the vote. So, are we happy to recommend those recommendations from Paul and the clerk? All those in
Yes.
favour? Thank you, everybody. Was there anything else?
Yeah, there was one other area. The other area was to do with it's 14A, which is the payroll entries into Scribe. This is quite an involved process which I go through, which was recommended by Scribe. I asked Scribe because what I noted was that some costs which shouldn't be included in MCC's accounts, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, were being included. Things like employees' tax, employees' national insurance, and employees' pension contributions. None of those are MCC's costs. The only ones that should be are the gross salary payment to the employee, the national insurance employer's contribution, and the pension employer's contribution. And what I go through is as I said, quite a long-winded process, which makes sure all those amounts which don't form part of Mumble's accounts are excluded. And what's been suggested by the auditor is that only net salary costs should be charged to the Mumble's budget, which I think is clearly wrong. It's got to be the gross salary, and that the total national insurance and payee deducted is charged to the council's accounts, which I think is wrong. It is wrong. They're not MCC's costs. They're the employees' costs. Similarly with pension and other things like student loan repayments. They are not MCC's costs. They're the employees' costs. I do see. So I think there may be a way of sort of summarizing the costs in the spreadsheet in the cash book, because one thing she did suggest was that by putting each individual employee's names into the cash book, then that is something that could be examined by the public as part of their review of the accounts. So I do accept that, and I think maybe summary figures should go in rather than the individual figures, and then they be linked back to a spreadsheet which I keep. Or maybe something that the payroll accountants already provide. And especially with the additional staff now up at Underhill, if I keep carry on going through the process I currently use, it's going to take most of the
Yeah.
most of the month just to do the payroll.
Yes.
So I think it is something that does need a change in. But what I think we've got to say is that we disagree with employees' costs being included in the council's budget, because it's not part of the council's.
Yeah.
It's not the responsibility of the council, and I'm surprised really to see that recommendation.
Okay, Phil.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that, to be honest with you, Paul.
That's what he
It
felt.
just seems a bit bizarre for that data to be included where it's not needed. I would have just asked for further clarification that they worded it what they've said the right way round, if you see what I mean, because it seems bizarre. You know, provide some sort of rationale as to why, because again, it seems bizarre. But certainly, I don't agree with anything that makes our books like, you know, it doesn't make sense, frankly.
Yes, Cammy.
Yeah, just clarifying really, so I've got it clear in my head exactly what's being suggested. So what you're suggesting is that total gross pay is recorded
In the cash book, yeah.
in the cash book, and that you're saying, which I think makes sense, that you put it as one total staff cost figure, which protects you know, obviously staff identities, and
Yeah.
you know, the auditors can still see the individual details through the payroll information. And also that, I suppose this, so yeah, I mean, as you say, those payments that are made, employees, tax and pension things, are not actually a cost to us. It's not costing us anything at all. So
That's
I
right,
do agree. I just wanted to check that was correct. That would seem odd to put that down as a cost to MCC. So
Which is, as I
personally,
said,
I
something
can
I
see
picked
the
up a few years
logic.
ago.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. What I would do is with the employers' contributions, I would also put them in as a single figure, same as the gross salaries.
Yeah. Yeah,
But then
they're
have a
important, 'cause they
spreadsheet to
are a
back it up.
cost. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Makes sense to me.
Pam, your hand's gone down. Is that
No,
deliberate?
it's been cleared up. Thank you. I just want to know exactly what you're recommending us to do then, Paul.
There we are.
What I would suggest is that we continue excluding employees' costs and contributions from the council's accounts, but that we summarise the monthly gross salaries and employers' contributions in the cash book.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll go to the votes. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Paul.
Okay, no problem.
That is the end of the meeting. So thank you everybody for turning
Thank you,
up.
everyone.
Productive evening. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks all.
Thanks.